All right, let's talk about the massive shift that's happening in filmmaking. For real, AI video has gone from this kind of quirky internet toy to a seriously powerful creative tool. So we're going to break down what that actually means for creators, like today. Let's get into it. For the longest time, AI video was just a weird novelty. You remember those short, kind of creepy morphing clips, right? Well, that's over. We have officially crossed a major threshold. These tools are now genuinely capable of professional level work, and that changes the entire game. The age of the AI-assisted filmmaker is here. So, here's the plan. First, we'll look at the one big breakthrough that made all of this possible. Then, we'll introduce you to the three big AI models that are basically competing for the director's chair. After that, we'll get into the new skills and hardware you need, what this stuff really costs, and finally, how you can pick the right AI partner for what you want to create. Okay, let's start with the tech itself. Because you might think it was a ton of small, gradual improvements that got us here, but it wasn't. It was one single, giant leap that solved the #1 problem that held AI video back for years. And this is it. Temporal consistency. This was the Achilles heel. It was the fatal flaw. An AI would create this amazing character, but 2 seconds later, their face would just subtly shift, or their shirt would have a different pattern. It was that creepy AI morphing effect. By finally fixing this, by making sure a character stays the same character from one shot to the next, that's when these models became truly useful for telling a coherent story. So with that huge problem finally solved, a few major players have stepped onto the scene. And honestly, the best way to think of them isn't as software products, but more like different directors you could hire, each with their own style, their own strengths, and their own quirks. And here are the big three. First, you have OpenAI's Sora 2 Pro. Think of it as the all-in-one solution. It's trying to do it all, including synchronized audio and a pretty cool cameos feature. Then there's Google's Veo 3.1, which is the professional. It's laser-focused on quality, especially that super realistic native audio. And finally, you've got Runway 4.5. This one is the visual artist. It cares more about pure photorealism and visual control than anything else. Now, if you just glance at the raw numbers, like these benchmark scores, you'd probably think, okay, Runway wins, end of story. And it's true, when you're just judging pure visual quality, it does come out on top. But as any creator knows, making something great is about way more than just a pretty picture. The real story here is a little more complicated. Let's just zoom in on one crucial feature: audio. Now, both Sora and Veo can generate sound that syncs with the video, which is, that's incredible all by itself. But the quality, it's like night and day. Reviews consistently describe Sora's dialogue as feeling a bit off, almost like someone talking in their sleep. Veo's audio, on the other hand, is called lively and realistic. And that one difference in quality leads to some really strong opinions from reviewers. This quote from Mashable really says it all. For any kind of professional work where you need dialogue that people can actually believe, Veo 3 has kind of cemented itself as the only serious option for now. So it's one thing to have these incredibly powerful tools, but getting amazing results, it isn't just about typing a sentence and hitting a magic go button. This is a brand new craft, and it requires a new set of skills, and, just as important, the right kind of hardware to run it. Prompting for video is less like creative writing and a lot more like technical direction. You have to think like a cinematographer. Be incredibly specific, give it one clear action, tell it the camera framing, medium shot, low angle, give it a few color anchors to keep the scene consistent, and describe the light. That kind of disciplined technical approach is what separates the amateur stuff from the truly professional-looking results. Okay, now let's talk hardware, because this part is so important. And it all comes down to a really simple rule, summed up perfectly here. VRAM is the gatekeeper. Your graphics card's memory determines whether you can even play the game in the first place. Here's the best way to think about it. Imagine VRAM is your desk space, right? And the AI model is this huge, complicated project. If the project fits on your desk, you're golden. You can work fast. But if it's too big and papers are falling all over the floor, it doesn't matter how fast you are, everything just grinds to a miserable halt. It's that simple. If the model doesn't fit, nothing else matters. And this all leads to the big question: Mac or PC? But this is not about aesthetics anymore. Macs, with their unified memory, can basically give you a massive work desk. You can run huge models. PCs with high-end NVIDIA cards, on the other hand, have a smaller desk, but it's supercharged. It's about 3 times faster, if the model fits. So you have a fundamental trade-off. Do you want capacity, or do you want raw speed? So, the bottom line is this. Choosing your computer is now a strategic architectural decision. It's not about which one you think looks cooler. You have to pick the system that is built for the kind of AI work you want to do. It's a completely new way of thinking about creative hardware. So, we've gone through the tech, the models, the hardware, which brings us to the question that is on literally every single creator's mind right now. How much does all of this actually cost?
So let's actually break down the numbers, because as much as this technology feels like pure magic, I can promise you it is not free.
Here's a peek at OpenAI's pricing for the Sora 2 API. It's pay-as-you-go, billed for every second of video you generate. The standard 720p model is 10 cents a second. Okay, but if you want the high-end Pro model at 1080p, that jumps to 50 cents for 1 second of video. So what does that actually mean? Let's do some quick math. Generating a single 60-second clip with the top-tier Sora 2 Pro model at 1080p will set you back $30 for 1 minute of raw footage. And that's assuming you get it perfect on the first try. And this is where the hidden costs really start to add up. Because the most important thing to get is that you pay for every single attempt, not just the clips you end up using. So if the AI gives you something weird or unusable, you still paid for it. And since any real professional work is going to take at least a few tries to get right, that $30 clip can very easily become a $100 or $200 shot. So when you factor in the different strengths of these models, the new skills you need, and the costs, how do professionals actually use this stuff? Well, the key is they don't just pick one tool and hope for the best. They build a workflow. This is what that pro workflow looks like. It's a multi-step process. First, you start with an image model to nail down your character's look and keep it consistent. Then you generate the motion, but you pick the right tool for the specific shot. Maybe one model is great for action scenes, but you switch to VO for the dialogue. Finally, you pull all those pieces together in a normal editor, like Premiere or CapCut, for the final assembly, color grading, all the stuff you'd normally do. And that really gets to the heart of what this is all about. This is not a story about technology replacing artists. That's the wrong way to look at it. It's about a totally new kind of collaboration. It's about having an AI co-director, a creative partner that can help you bring your vision to life in ways you couldn't before. This technology is here to stay, and it's only getting more and more powerful. So for every creator out there, the fundamental question has completely changed. It's not a matter of if you'll end up working with an AI co-director. The question is, how are you going to tell your story together?